Today, we're going to break down an argument that a controversial presidential tweet isn't just another crazy headline. No, it's a symptom, a small part of a much larger, invisible conflict that's being fought right now. So this whole thing kicks off with an event that, really blew up online. A former president shares this pretty bizarre AI-generated image that seems to show him as a Christ-like figure. And of course, it immediately drew a ton of criticism, with people calling it blasphemous. Okay, so you're probably thinking, weird tweet, so what? But here's where it gets really interesting. According to the analysis we're digging into, the real story here isn't the image at all. It's what that image represents in a global showdown that is heating up as we speak. The argument we're looking at today suggests that this tweet, and so many others just like it, are just little skirmishes in a much, much bigger strategy. And it's a strategy that uses a weapon that's more accessible and maybe even more powerful than any piece of military hardware. See, while everyone was arguing about this tweet online, something huge was going down on the other side of the world. The U.S. Navy had reportedly started a blockade in the Strait of Hormuz after talks with Iran fell apart. Now, that has real-world consequences, right? But the argument here is that the most powerful weapon in this fight isn't an aircraft carrier. It's the device that's in your pocket. So here's the core idea. The source argues that countries like Iran know they can't go head-to-head with the U.S. military. It's just not going to happen. So what do? Their game plan isn't to sink ships, it's to sink American unity. They look at a nation that's tired, that's divided, and they see social media as the perfect crowbar to pry those divisions even wider. And if you think that's just a theory, well, check out these numbers. It is pretty wild. The source cites research that tracked the conflict online, and get this. In the first few weeks, a staggering 60% of the most viral posts on X came from accounts based outside the US. That's 155 million views from foreign accounts versus 93 million from inside the country. That is not just a few people venting online. Okay, so if your phone is a weapon, how exactly does it work? Well, according to this analysis, it's not random. There's a specific playbook, and it's designed to be sneaky, super effective, and basically to use our own emotions against us. The U.S. State Department has apparently even warned its embassies about this kind of stuff. And the playbook itself? It's brutally simple. First, you just flood the zone, overwhelm everyone with content. Then, use deception, deepfakes, doctored photos, whatever works. Then you push these scripted stories designed to make us angry. And here's the kicker. Their goal isn't to get you to agree with them. Nope. They just want you to get furious with your neighbor. Let's make this real. Here are a couple examples from the source. An Iranian official tweets a picture of high gas prices in D.C. Why? To hit Americans right where it hurts, their wallets. Or how about this one? A pro-Iran account shares a doctored video showing a U.S. Navy humiliation to undermine morale. You see, these aren't random posts. They're like little missiles aimed right at our emotions. So the source is telling us to stop thinking of social media as just, a place to share cat videos and argue about sports. The argument is that we might be treating it like a toy, but in reality, it's being used as a high-powered weapon against the public every single day. And here's where things get really fascinating. You might think this is a totally new 21st century problem, but it's not. The tech is new, for sure. But the strategy, the core idea, well, America has seen this movie before, just with a different cast. Let's jump back to the early 1800s. You've got the Barbary pirates seizing American ships and demanding tribute. And we're not talking small change. These payments were eating up 20% of the entire U.S. federal budget. So President Jefferson says, nope, we're not paying, we're going to fight. And guess what happened? Voices at home rose up, trying to divide the country, arguing to just pay the pirates or warning it would be an endless war. It's an almost perfect historical echo of an external threat being amplified by internal division. But back then, the nation held it together and won. And all of this brings us to the final and most important takeaway. Once you understand this playbook, both the modern and the historical one, you start to see where the real fight is actually happening. At the end of the day, the ultimate goal of all this weaponized information isn't to win a debate online. It is so much simpler than that. It's just to make Americans fight one another. They don't care if you're on the left, the right, or in the middle. If you're at your fellow citizens' throat, they've already won. The real challenge for us, then, isn't to win the argument, it's to see the game that's being played. And that brings us all the way back to where we started, that strange image of a president as Jesus. Whether it was posted as a joke, an intentional provocation, or something else, it really doesn't matter. What matters is what it does. It is the perfect tool for division. It forces people into camps, and it fuels outrage. And it leaves us with a final, really important question to consider the next time we're scrolling through our own feeds.